Minutes, or you want to go right into this?
Let's do that after, please.
Okay. Well, go ahead. I'll turn it over to uh, the discussion for the locomotive overhaul update. And we have, who's that? William Wolfgang, right?
Yep,
Take it away, William.
thank you. Mine, just for everybody's edification, you can call me Bill, Bill Wolfgang.
Bill. Okay.
Um, so back in December, I brought the HSP 40, the MPI HSP 46 overhaul to the board of directors for their board vote and approval, and we were provided with that approval. This locomotive fleet, they were purchased in the mid early teens, I believe, excuse me, 2010 to 2013. Um, and we purchased 40 of them from MPI, and we've seen a lot of reliability issues with them starting to, age. Things are getting old, engines are starting to wear out, and we're doing a lot of unexpected repairs.
Mm.
So we we envisioned that not envisioned, we performed a condition assessment report. Sorry, I'm bouncing from meetings to meetings today, and my head's a little bit scrambled right now. But can you go back to that last slide?
Oh, sorry, Bill.
So one of the things that we did is based off of the 25-year life expectancy, we did a condition assessment at about year 12. And that's where we're at right now. And that condition assessment showed us that there were certain subsystems that needed some immediate and direct attention. Electronics, we've got some starting to end of life on us, and we've got some other things that are just being that they're just worn out. The engines, injectors need to be replaced, turbos need to be replaced, reciprocating members, bearings for cranks and pistons, and so we're doing a complete engine overhaul. Next slide. So with that condition, sorry, I should have been on this slide. I'm sorry. With that condition assessment, that the one thing that came out of that was we needed to have a statement in our contract that the manufacturer would kind of ensure that future proofing of electronics, because electronics are such a huge variable today where they continuously um, manufacturers continuously update, and that backward compatibility is starting to be lost. So we did include a contract requirement for Wabtec, who's a successful bidder, to kind of give us that obsolescence guarantee. So when we do get the locomotives back, we'll have a comfort level that we'll have the ability to purchase this equipment easily, um, maybe not directly off the shelf, but within a reasonable time frame. Um, and this allows us to truly maintain the vehicles in a state of good repair for the rest of their lives. This will also allow us to bridge the gap a little bit easier to our next transition. We're right now developing our next specification for a diesel locomotive and a battery electric locomotive. So we'll be releasing that here probably in the next couple of, I'm guessing by the end of spring. So this overhaul will help transition and carry us on to that new that new fleet that's going to be anticipated soon. Next slide. Again, overhaul will will address the critical maintenance items that have kind of plagued this fleet. Um, this there's As things age, things get deferred or things get put onto a nice to have list or whatever. They just don't get maintained in a state of great repair or so we're going to address those items and truly build the reliability back into them. I think everybody witnessed some of the the trials and tribulations that we've had over the last couple of weeks with this cold weather and the snow. That adds a level of complexity to our whole process here and reliability. We'll also enhance some of our maintainability stuff. So there are certain things that were always difficult to maintain. So we're trying to work with the manufacturer to kind of reinvent or redesign some of the componentry to make it a little bit more user friendly for maintenance. And that's going to be a huge driver for the maintainability. So this was December timeline. We did provide them with NTP at the end of January, and we are preparing the first locomotives to be going to Erie, Pennsylvania here probably in the next week or so. We did our departure inspections on them this week and worked with our manufacturer to make that Wabtec to make that happen, and they'll be delivered to their Erie facility momentarily. Production delivery, pilot delivery will take us into 2028, and production begins in 29 through 32. So it's a long contract. We are trying to work with them to expedite things. We've got a couple of things that we're doing up front. We've had a couple of engine failures, so we're doing those a little ahead of time. So we're getting their engine facility that's doing the overhaul of those engines. We've got some rotating in and out of that place. So we're trying to head the contract and reduce that pilot locomotive delivery from December of 28. We're trying to get that done sooner than that. And the amount of locomotives that we have available to put into this project may impact or may reduce it. The more that we get into the float and into production, will help us reduce that March 32. But right now, that's our target based off of the commitment that we received from the railroad ops. Next slide. As you can see, it's not a cheap one. $222 million for the material procurement with Wabtec. The others are force account. That's our labor. That's kind of doing the testing when they return. Project administration, that's the oversight department, which is my project management team. Professional services, we're utilizing STV as an extension of our staff, and we do have a contingency fund for mostly hidden damage. And once you start tearing apart a locomotive, you never know what you're going to find. They're all going to be a little bit different, and that contingency will help us out with our hidden damage. So total estimate was 253. I think the next slide is the board vote. So any questions, any thoughts?
Go ahead. I'll just open it up for I had just an off the wall question. How are those locomotives getting to Erie? Are they actually going under their own power or
Dead in tow. So we got
towed?
to do it. We have to do a one-time move with the FRA, and they'll be just brought out there dead in tow.
CSX.
Okay.
See, so most everything happens from our Middleborough area. We bring them over there. After we do our departure inspections, they're staged over there. CSX grabs them, and they'll just drag them out to Erie.
Oh. I see Sheila's got her hand raised. Well, so go ahead, Sheila.
Thank you. So does the administration cost include like a clerk of the works? Will somebody be on site in Erie, Pennsylvania all the time?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, we have an engineering firm that also supports us with an internal to the factory inspection service and a local inspection service. So we'll be doing a lot of that stuff in-house. We have to maintain our presence there the entire length. We're
Yeah.
utilizing federal money, so we have to be there the entire, all of our projects, we're there the entire time.
Okay, that's good. So then there's the quality assurance in the work then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We, first of all, we validate their production plan, their quality plan, and their test plan. And then we hold them to it.
Great. That's good to hear. My other question was just my understanding. So the locomotives are 12 years old. They had a 25-year useful life. So was this overhaul anticipated or
Yep.
they're okay? So that was
Yep.
planned within the
We
25-year use.
all of our vehicles, we do a midlife overhaul.
Okay.
And we envision that that's going to occur at midlife. We don't always do it at midlife because it's all based off of available funding. So for our bus fleet, it's a 12-year life expectancy on the vehicle. So that happens so quickly. Sometimes we don't get to that to year 8 or 9. So, but we need to do it. For the locomotives, we're actually hitting this right on time. This is perfect time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just didn't understand if the locomotives weren't meeting our expectations, but it sounds like they are, and we're sending them for a normal maintenance overhaul.
We beat them up pretty good.
Oh yeah,
They're
I'm sure they
they're
do.
they're used and abused.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. I see Brian is next for a question. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. And Bill, thank you very much for being with us today. For those of you that don't know, Bill Wolfgang is one of the, I'd say, 8 people at the T that make it actually work on a day-to-day basis. And I saw this firsthand when I was there and can attest that it is 100% true. So, Bill, thank you. And that includes when he's in China inspecting cars, or Spain when he's inspecting cars, or Erie, Pennsylvania. Bill,
Wow.
you get
Erie.
to all the good places.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit, Bill, about, and again, this is sort of future questioning, the transition, the eventual transition from diesel to battery. So federal funds, right? We have to run these things for their 25-year lifespan. That means another 12 years. So we're going to be running diesels in Boston and for at least another 12 years, probably closer to 15, I would imagine. What does the transition look like as far as you're concerned? And given that we're filing special legislation so that you can't retire and we'll be here for it, how do you foresee overseeing it?
Well, that legislature will not go through. At some point in time, that will happen. But no. To be serious,
I'm joking, of course.
we are building this next spec because we understand that we need to get to a transition point, and that transition point, with the locomotive technology, it's really at its beginning stages. There's not a lot of them out there. They're all under test. They're all under short, small fleets. And the battery technology is changing rapidly. I look at my bus fleet. That's probably the best thing to look at right now, because we've had 3 generations of batteries in a 10-year period. And with locomotives, we're going to see that same type of thing. But how we're doing this is, we know that we need a reliable locomotive. So as part of this next contract, we're going to have a base order of 10 diesels and a base order of 10 battery electrics. This will allow the manufacturer, whoever that is, to get us their stable piece of equipment, so we can kind of stabilize some of those old tier 0 locomotives that are kind of kicking along under their magic maintenance. They're very tired, some of those old locomotives. So moving forward, that'll allow us to get 10 battery electrics, kind of kick the tires a little bit and see how well they're going to do for us. Right now, the manufacturer is saying that between 3 and 4 megawatts of energy on board. It's a lot of batteries. It's a lot of potential there, and that's only going to get us about 60 miles. So we're trying to figure out, power density, all that stuff to get us the greatest range, and also address our infrastructure. Because we all know if I'm going only 60 miles, that's going to take me not to the end of all of our routes. So we're going to have to do some targeted charging, either an in-motion charging or an end of line major, charge. So all that has to be calculated, all those we're just opening up our bus garage right now in North Cambridge. We're doing our stress test on the charging network of all our pantographs for charging of our new buses. So it's all high dollars, high dollars. And the locomotive, comparing right now our independent cost estimate, and we're still calculating this, is a diesel, you're looking at about 12 and a half million compared to a 18 to $20 million battery electric locomotive. So not only is the locomotive a huge investment, but the infrastructure, which is non-existent except for one line, and that's the line that we're kind of concentrating. We can use those 10 on the Providence line on the corridor to at least use the Catner, because they'll have the pantograph. Did I answer your question?
You did, Bill, and we're going to make that legislation binding. Don't worry. Uh, Real quick, and I know you might not have the full answer. Can the grid we currently have support plugging in at least 10 locomotives, let alone 60 to 70?
Great question. Study to be D. It's all in process. You got to remember, we're also buying the BEMUs. So those are going to go on the Fairmont branch. That's going to be a major power draw. Our buses, we've got 9 bus garages. We're in the first 2. Yeah, we're going to increase our energy use. We're already the largest. We're already the largest consumer of electricity in Massachusetts. We're going to double it.
Wow. Is that it, Brian? Great, thank you. I see Ozzy has had his hand up from Maynard. Go ahead, Ozzy.
Thank you. A quick question. Apologies if you said it and I missed it. What percentage of the stock will be out for refurbishment at a time?
It's a really good question. Right now, we're hoping to get between 8 and 10. We would, which is 25%. We would love to have closer to 30 or 35%. 17 is the magic number for any production. That way you're always, you're always getting something returning per month. Once you get set up into your stations. And that also allows you the ability to do so you've got buses in the factory, or buses, you got locomotives in the factory, you got locomotives going, you got locomotives coming, and you're always in test. So that total value is between 15 to 17 that we would love to have. However, taking almost half the fleet out of service is something that I can't do.
Can't do that.
We're looking at 8 to 10, so 25%.
I appreciate that. Great. I guess that's where I was going. I imagined you have an operations plan for coverage and for deadline equipment that remains and the ability to lift and shift assets.
Some of
Or
the
is it
things
going to
that
get pretty sparse?
Yeah, some of the things that we're trying to do, there's a couple of them that are long-term out of service. So we're going to try to resurrect some of those first. We've got one it's a real long-term hold. It had some major issues with it in a high voltage issue. That probably won't be that'll be the last locomotive to return. So we're trying to get on top of that one now, so we can kind of figure out what it needs, all the details that it needs. But some of the shorter long-term holds, we're going to kind of turn those around, hopefully quick.
Thank you.
Bill, I had a question. As part of this, the refurbishment, is that going to improve their combustion? Will they have less diesel particulate after this? I mean,
We are not changing. It's a tier 3 engine.
tier
To
3.
to turn it into a tier 4, we don't have the room. There's limited room as it is in the engine compartment, and we don't have the room for the
So there
exhaust.
wouldn't be any improvement after the no. So
We will be bringing it back to, as engines wear, they lose their certification. They don't lose their certification, but they um,
they get off their specs.
their
Okay.
efficiency becomes challenged. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring that back to a new condition. So there'll
Presumably
be
some improvement. Okay.
Yeah.
Much better than they are.
Other questions from the committee? The one thing that occurred to us 253 million, and we talked about this. We could have bought some new diesels for that. Did you say that there were unexpected problems with the condition of these, like they're not doing as well as you had thought, or as
we beat them up every day.
Yeah.
They're they've taken the punishment, and now we need to overhaul them. So
so
if I implied that they weren't doing as well as they, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Every vehicle has problems. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's a rail car or a bus, they all have their issues. We address those issues with field modifications during the life of the warranty period. Okay, as they age, other items develop. After the warranty period is over,
Yeah.
other things develop, and other things don't. They may not last as long as you expected them to. So that's where we got to kind of take the initiative to
Sure.
say, okay, our life expectancy wasn't quite as great as we envisioned, but maybe we had a little bit of a vision of grandeur or
All
something.
right. So, but you're still pushing for the 25, 30 years with this.
That's an FTA requirement. We have to hold on to
Okay.
these assets for
And
25
Brian,
years.
correct me if I'm wrong, but when we talked about the transition plan last year, the year before, we kind of decided that really needed to refurbish these diesels as part of the transition to electricity, right? So this is
Well,
all
yeah,
part
and
of
like
it.
Bill said, we're required to because we use federal money for them. So we have no
Yeah.
choice here.
This is a core fleet of our
Yeah.
locomotive fleet. If we don't have these, we don't make service.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Bill. Any other questions or final observations from the committee?
Yeah,
We
it's
can let Bill go. Go
Chris
ahead.
Podrowski from
Sure.
Canton and Mass Coastal Railroad, I think, as Bill knows. Yeah, I think the electric battery powered locomotives are so early on in their technology that I would fear that the MBTA be some sort of poster child for burning locomotives along the Northeast Corridor when the batteries blow up, like all these other things that are going on. But I mean, it's the reality. It's the reality of the situation. They're just not there.
Yeah.
And I think electrifying. Or having electric locomotives on the Northeast Corridor makes perfect sense. But the those HSPs, they were one-offs, right? They were ordered. They weren't a cataloged locomotive. They were designed by
What's an
somebody.
HSP for people who don't know it?
The
Chris?
locomotives, the model is an HSP,
Yeah.
HSP, whatever
The
it is, 22.
diesels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So
Okay.
yeah,
So
they were one-offs in the beginning, so that they were built. Nobody else bought any of those models,
Oh,
and
the only 40 in the world.
in the world.
40 in the world.
Yeah, in the world. So, somebody
Oh,
got,
boy.
some wizard figured that out, that was the way that they wanted to do it. And I mean, they've been okay in the end after the,
Just
you
for
know,
everybody's edification, I inherited that project when I became the director of vehicle engineering back in 2012.
In the
So
right.
world.
I already had the design was already in place, and we did the best that we could with the design that we had, and
Yeah, it was
it
already out
worked.
the door, right, Bill? So because
Oh yeah,
the people that designed it weren't even in heavy rail business, that from what I remember. And
that's
the
right.
byproduct of it was, I mean, I think that it's been lucky that they've been as good as they've been.
Yeah,
But and the Robert, you were talking, well, I think Robert was talking about the particulate emissions and stuff. They're really
Right.
not that bad. Um, in comparison, other than the fact that they get that black smudge down the front of the nose on all of them because of some uh, wind effect that maybe you can put something in them to make that not happen, Billy.
have a
But
little turbulence, so it kind of goes over it.
yeah,
I
but they've been good.
I refer that to as the skunk stripe.
Yeah, no, I know it's terrible. It's terrible. But yeah, I know those locomotives pretty well down
Yes, you
on
do.
my railroad, and but it's good to see that they're midlife overhaul, and I think the F40 PH-2s that got overhauled overall have been a great. I don't know if Billy agrees, but I think it's
Yeah,
been a really good, useful. Those those heavy frame locomotives have long outlasted their useful life. Um,
A- and if it wasn't for that, Chris, we wouldn't be talking about reliable service
right,
because
right,
those were done. Now these need to get done, and these new ones need to come in so I can retire some of those
yeah,
old heavy frame locos.
right, makes sense.
Yeah, and it's that's our challenge, right? Is where do you technology is always your divining rod, right? And you want to advance technology. In Tier 4, the engine, it's been tried and true. It's been out there for years. The new locomotives will have a Tier 4 system. But going into the batteries, it's always going to be a new challenge. I, I I look at it this way, and I always use this reference on the bus conversations that I have, and it holds true with the locomotives. The diesel engine has been around for 100 years. It took them that long to get it right, and it's really, really good right now. Um, Batteries, we're at our infancy. On bus, we've been around for 10, maybe 15 years. On locomotives, we've been around 4. So we got a lot of lessons to learn. We got a long road to go, and we are going to introduce this fleet. We're not going to be the first ones because there's others that are ahead of us, and that will
Indeed.
hopefully open the eyes of some issues if there are any, and there'll be closed doors before we get to our production.
One other thing that you mentioned is that the outlet, the periphery of the commuter rail network, the power is not there to charge these things. You people are buying, they're being well not forced because they kind of took it away, but they have to buy tractor trailer trucks that are all battery, and the towns, the EverSource, the infrastructure is not there to
Mm.
charge the batteries. And you see what the electric bills are now with all this efficiency and delivery charges and everything. If they're compelled to uh, increase the infrastructure to outlying areas, down in New Bedford, Fall River, or to the north, just think about what it's going to cost to do that. And of course, there's a trade-off between cost and smog and whatever else. But I think,
Climate
I'm more
change.
concerned with the small towns,
yeah,
the Franklins of the world, the Ashlands, you know, some of the bigger cities, obviously Fall River and New Bedford, they might have a greater chance of success with their energy capabilities, but some of these smaller areas, it's going to be a challenge, and all that
Interesting.
needs to be studied.
Well,
The
more to
good thing
come.
is the
Thanks.
good thing is we have the corridor. We can throw them on that. That's our expected usage. Anything outside of that will be a huge benefit if we can, get some trials. If we get a 60-mile range, doing shorter shorter bursts back and forth, we can handle that.
I
That'll
could just
get us
hear the
some.
dispatcher. I could just hear the dispatcher. Yeah, okay, 808, you're out of battery and you're at Canton Center. I mean, seriously, it'll just be a, can you just imagine?
Yeah, send a generator.
Diesel power generator.
There you go.
Oh, good. All right. Well, thank you all for that. Anything else before we let Bill go and move on to our other items?
Bill, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Brian. Chris, great
More
seeing
to
you.
come on electrification, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
So we have the discussion. By the way, if for committee members, if you didn't put your name and town in the chat, please do so. Actually, I think I have to do it myself. So the next one is the minutes discussion action on the minutes of the June 18th, October 15th, and December 17th meetings. So have people had a chance to look at the minutes or have any edits or questions about the minutes? If not, I guess I'll ask for a motion to accept. I think we can do a motion to do all 3 minutes at once. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
I hear Steve
I'll
Olenoff
second.
made the motion, a second by Brian Glennon. All those in favor of approving the minutes as proposed, say aye. Raise your eye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't see any opposition, so the minutes are accepted. Okay, this next one is just an announcement of the next meeting, March 11th, with Mike Muller, Executive Director of Commuter Rail, and John Killeen, the CEO of Keolis. And that'll be the regular update with a variety of topics, I'm sure. So people should think about that. The next one is old new business, and I guess hold on a second, Steve. I just want to think what I think is under old new business. If people want to talk about what's going on with the gates or with FIFA, I guess this is the place to kind of bring it up. So, Steve, what did you have to say?
So have we have officially changed our meeting date from the third Wednesday to the second Wednesday of the month?
Hannah, I'm
I
not
should
sure
have
that's
divined
official,
that
but
by
we're
looking
just
at the
kind of.
schedule.
Go ahead,
I
Hannah.
think Brian and I went through the scheduling in terms of like the actual dates, and those were the dates that we had come up with also the Keolis and commuter rail folks for when they could potentially come. And I think it just happens to be that it's almost nearly the second Wednesday of every month without the summer. Because again, we likely won't meet August.
So it may switch back and forth. Or
I'm just looking over the majority of them. A couple of them, like in October, it's the first Wednesday of the month. Some of them, it's the second Wednesday. It sort of depends on the calendar, and we were trying to fit into our scheduling as well.
so the only thing consistent will be it'll be a Wednesday.
Wednesday at 2 o'clock,
Okay.
once a month,
All right.
for 1 hour. So, and
right,
the reason
thanks,
why
Steve.
also we kept the 2 o'clock is because the folks at Keolis and the T typically can only make afternoon meetings.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Brian and Hannah, did you want to give any background or any particular issues? I'm thinking the issues with the gates.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to report on or talk to us about?
Yeah, I had a question for the committee. So I got a call today from someone representing one of the bidders for the contract. And this brought up the question that he asked me, which is there any interest from the committee in hearing from the 3 shortlisted bidders? Kind of what their vision is, and then kind of what is important to municipalities in terms of stations and in terms of what they would do. So I just wanted to throw that out there, Rob, and get your thoughts
Sure.
on it.
This is the bidders for the management of the system? Okay. The big picture bidders, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of them is Keolis that you talked to,
course.
and then it's Transdev and some other French company. I forget, but yeah.
And
So
where are they in the process? So people have submitted letters of interest or
Well, they've shortlisted 3 folks that are going forward to make
Oh, that's pretty
the
big.
whole thing. So they're kind of nearing
Yeah.
the end. They're at the beginning of the end, I guess I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, I think, well, my personal thing is I think we should get as involved as we have time to do so. So I would say yes, I'd love to hear from these folks, but other
Okay.
members of the committee, what's your thought? I'd also think we should get, we should start put on the agenda just an update on what's going on with the bid.
Okay.
Other folks?
I just want to comment. I think that would be a major concern of this committee.
The selection process, yes.
Yes. Yeah, we
Yeah.
should be in. Yeah, I mean, we should be involved as we can on this.
Yeah.
I agree. It's the first choke point in the first mile of a trip.
Okay. All right. We will try to make that happen in subsequent months.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks for the direction.
Any updates on this gate issue and
Yeah,
what's going
so we've been trying to get somebody to talk to us about the gates, and it's radio silence across the board. I think they're embarrassed, frankly. So I assume it'll come up when we talk to Keolis and Mueller next time, the 11th. But honestly, I can't get anybody to even talk to me off the record about it because I think they're mortified.
Oh, that's interesting.
So the inspector general called me about it. He's on the warpath. I mean, we could talk to him if you want.
About the gates. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Because
he actually gave an interview last night. I think it was on Channel 5, I want to say. Yeah.
So what is the major problem here? How would you state this gate issue?
They were designed to operate indoors and they were installed outdoors.
Oh, the gates are enough. Yeah.
At South Station, right?
South
We're talking
Station.
about the fact that they're still not operating.
This is a similar thing to what happened at the Route 128 station. The escalators and the elevators were like right on the platform, and they had maintenance problems, so they finally had to put better enclosures around them so that they would be protected from the weather. I don't know how they would do that at the South Station.
I don't know either. I think that is the long-term solution.
Any other updates? I know, well, one thing, Alan from Brockton, so we're not sure if he's going to continue on the committee because there's a new mayor, of course, and
Yep.
but he was very concerned about FIFA scheduling. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out to see if anybody wants to say anything about it or what we should be concerned about with that. Brian, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, deeply concerning. It's an issue that affects the south side a lot more than the north side. There are news updates on a daily basis. There was one yesterday, for instance, about money coming in. So I don't have any additional information on that. There is a real concern. And I've said this to elected officials. I think it's frankly embarrassing that we are going to move people to and from the World Cup on 40-year-old diesel locomotives when the Providence line is pretty much next door and it's a mile away, and you could have built a mile of catenary and borrowed some electrics from Amtrak and RUM, but we chose not to. We chose to do it this way, which I think was the wrong way to do it. You saw that they got slapped around for building the station the way they built the station down there at Foxborough. That's again the inspector general who's deeply involved in this. He takes the commuter rail. I think that's why from Needham. So I just think it's been poorly handled. The whole thing was poorly organized from the beginning a decade ago, and here we are. So we will muddle through as best we can. I don't know what I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to be ready in June. I don't know what's going to happen. But
I can tell you there was a giant crane over at Foxborough Stadium last night. They're definitely doing a ton of work over there. So
Interesting.
It'll be interesting if it is truly ready, though.
I was curious. So when the Attorney General found that contract was illegally awarded, what happens then?
Well, as the Inspector General.
I thought, okay.
So no, I mean, and that's the Inspector General's role is procurement abnormalities. Basically, they said that instead of doing what they did, which was a task order contract based on an existing agreement that was previously procured, they needed to do a whole new one. Now, that probably would have taken far too long and not allowed the T to have the time to do what
Right.
needed. So that is what it is. I mean, one thing that I'd also mention, I think, Steve, you were on this one yesterday. We heard from some folks at Inside Rapid Transit at the T that they're starting to do a lot of this stuff themselves, including station rebuilds. And I think that's the model that Phil Eng and his team want to bring to commuter rail eventually. So instead of having to hire Barletta Heavy and go through this whole logistical nightmare to get somebody in, they'll just send their own forces out to do it. And ultimately, I think that's the better solution because you can get stuff done a lot faster and ultimately a lot cheaper.
With their staff. Yeah.
Yep.
Other items? I had one just kind of follow up from our last meeting, which was about parking. And I haven't heard back from Mike. I wanted to talk to their parking guy again about some of those, can we do parking lot expansion and can we continue to push for solar panels at parking lots, since these are A, good to do and B, potential revenue, especially we talked about the Littleton station being very undersized for a major transportation node. So I'm just, have you guys heard anything? Because Mike hasn't gotten back. I don't know if there's a
No.
particular
So
issue with them doing parking or.
this was a very typical way that they used to do these things. Was years ago, they got a one-off grant to install this charger there, and that's what they did. There was no money for maintenance, there was no money for operation, and they didn't make any money on it, and it cost them ultimately in the end.
Yeah, I'm talking about solar panels though.
Solar panels, like the coverings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is
So
like a win-win. So I don't,
that is coming up against a major push that the administration wants to do, which is build housing on commuter rail parking lots. So if you build a covered solar thing, you can't build housing, right? So that's a conflicting public
I never
policy
thought of that.
question that we're starting to bump up against. And right now, the governor's winning.
So they're actually thinking about these large lots. They're going to build housing over the parking.
That's what I have heard, Rob. I think it's a very
wow.
much pie in the sky at this point.
That's really, yeah, okay. Well, more to come hopefully on that. Hopefully Mike will get back to me and we'll have a discussion on
I'll
that.
ping them again for you.
Yeah, great. Other items from the committee or thoughts on future agenda? Hannah set us up for the big, for that briefing in March from the T and Keolis, and we'll see more on the procurement. Steve, do you have a question still? Is your hand still up or?
It's another subject was when you said gates, I was thinking the gate crossings, the accidents that have been happening. There's one just was yesterday, the day before. I mean, cars somehow still getting around those gates and getting hit, and pedestrians are getting hit, and that's to me that's an important issue.
Okay.
And
All
we
right, let me
have
see if I can get the
periodic.
commuter rail safety folks to join us.
Yeah,
sometime.
she's very responsive. We have her scheduled for what, once a year, pretty much, Brian and Hannah. That's what we
Yep.
see her from. If is there an increased frequency or particular new concerns, Steve, or?
Well, I mean, why is this happening? They don't have four gates; they only have two, so people can get around them. So then they put traffic islands there, so they can't do that unless they go up the wrong way up the street for quite a distance past those traffic islands. But how are these cars getting by there so they're getting hit, and what's going on, and what needs to be done to fix it? I think you just can't have people dying like that, and not only that, of course, because
So we had some
it holds up the
additional
train for quite a
fatalities.
while. So if you have to spend the money to put four gates like they do in the rest of the world, then that's what you have to do.
Okay. Ozzy, did you have a question or thought to?
Just a thought and kind of a ping to Brian. Brian, when I was still at Mass DOT, we had talked about a project that I was working on, a mode shift calculator
Yep.
to help people compare the actual cost of a vehicle operation for a trip against the commuter rail. Since leaving MassDOT 8 months ago now, that project hasn't advanced. If you wanted to pick up further conversation with that, I'd be happy to do a brain dump on that, a brain dump, and see if that's something this group wants to champion or partner.
That's interesting.
Great idea.
And I don't have any of my materials, but I'm happy to do 10 minutes and kind of talk through it on the next call or any call if there's room.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ozzy. All right. Anything else? Brian or Hannah, any parting thoughts for us from you guys?
Thank you all for all you do for your communities.
And yeah, thank you for your efforts. So we're scheduled to meet again in March, and hopefully we'll have an agenda with that and the updates and some of these other items on it. All right. Well, I guess with that we can adjourn. I have here a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So, okay, motion's been made. And a second? No, we're gonna stay here forever. So we got a second. Okay, thanks, Chris. All right. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed, none. So we're adjourned. Thank you all. We'll see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Stay warm.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.